Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Huge day. A lot of great sporting events going on today. Army, Navy, along with a huge UFC fight. If you guys want the best place in the world to watch UFC, head to Twin Peaks or Buffalo Wild Wings. Both of our partners are going to have the fight tonight. Huge picks coming from Dagestan Poppy. Navajo Sterling is the guy tonight that you guys want to hammer. Shout out Dagestan Poppy. Follow him on Twitter. And it's spelled just like Dagestan, where Khabib is from, the UFC legend. So make sure you follow that. We're going to get into some portal stuff. The portal is heating up right now. We are a week away from a playoff game in the Horseshoe. I cannot wait. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. But again, I just want you guys always say thank you to you guys. I know there's probably a lot of Christmas shopping going on. Kind of a different time, but we figured we'd just knock it out early, as you guys are probably going to be running errands all day on Saturday, like we probably will be too. So with that being said, if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate you guys. If you guys have any questions that are pressing, the super chats are available, and that is something that we've signed up a ton of people with Pay It Forward. Again, the super chats go into Pay It Forward. They help us basically give memberships to the people that protect us, our police officers, our firefighters, especially our armed forces, people that are abroad during the Christmas time. It's something that can help them out. It's a great gesture. We appreciate you guys that do that. And we've signed up a ton of people. Again, it's great to get to know you guys. All you need is a military ID. Send us an email, buckeyescoop@gmail.com. But it's been a fantastic program, and we've got to know a lot of people that are huge Buckeye fans, and also are they really help us out. Your first responders. So if you're eligible, shoot us a note, and we will get with you. And Nevada and I are really quick to correspond. With that being said, going to bring in my good friend Navajo Buck. Navajo, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Excited, man. Big UFC card tonight. Like I said, Navajo Sterling tonight. If you guys, if you have your little betting apps and you guys looking for a little bit of fun action tonight, we've got Navajo Sterling is our big. We've got a couple of picks, but that's the big one that's starting to blow out a little bit because the word's starting to get out there that frankly that we're on this one. So you want to make a little money, have a little bit of fun. Navajo Sterling is your guy for this evening. But hey, Ohio State is on the war path, using a little Navajo Indian thing. They're on the war path for some portal guys, and they got some guys in this weekend. And let's start with running backs, because like running backs, it's a position when you look at the room right now. You've obviously got Peoples and Sam Dixon Williams for next year, but I mean, you brought in Bo Jackson, you got Turbo Rogers, you got the kid Isaiah West, but when you look at that, you need a portal kid. You need at least one running back, and I think it's going to be interesting because the way that Ohio State's using running backs, the way that running backs are kind of being more and more sensitive about overutilization, about taking too many hits, about taking too many hits. I could see a thing where Ohio State takes a portal running back every single season. And I think that's going to become the new normal. And Ohio State's got a couple of really good prospects. The kid from USC was in earlier this week. You've got the Alabama running back. I mean, I just think it's going to be every year we're going to be on, much like we talk about, hey, every year you take a couple of offensive linemen in the portal. I think every year you're going to take a portal running back, and you're going to use them the way that they use Trey and Quinchon, try to keep guys, both guys as fresh and as healthy as possible. I don't think it's a coincidence that this is Trey's first year of being completely healthy all throughout the season. It's the year where they haven't had to use him as much. So I think that's the new normal, and I know Ohio State's really active. Ohio State is absolutely a buyer in the portal market for running back, and wouldn't be surprised to see somebody jump in the boat sooner than later.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be fascinating. Like with Ron Haynes, you've got a kid who we were in on. Quentin Joyner from SC also is in the portal, and he visited this past Thursday. And I'm telling you, we have to get a running back. We're going to get a running back. It's been in the plans. We were talking about running backs in September, and the reaching out comes from a friend of a friend of a friend, and it starts kind of early, so these guys can kind of set the board. Now, there's always surprises. There's always people you don't anticipate jumping into the portal, but when guys are, a guy like, Justice Haynes, like when he was the number one running back in the country 2 years ago, and he played a lot as a freshman for Nick Saban, he's got a lot of suitors, and he's a guy that if we got him, it'd be a grand slam home run. He's a 5-star running back, and we've got a good shot. It's going to be a little different because obviously his main recruiter is Tony Alford, who's at Michigan now, but this is a kid that's got a lot of juice. I'd love to add him. I think that we were second in the recruitment last time, and he's got a lot of ability. His dad went to Georgia, which is something to watch, but I picked Alabama last time, and to me, I'm looking for where can I play? What's the offense going to look like? And I mean, if I'm a running back, there's nowhere in the universe I'd rather go than Ohio State, especially like next year, because he'll be year 3 next year, so he could potentially be going to the league after that. Like, dude, when you got JJ Smith, you're never going to see post safety. You're never going to see a safety in the box. You're going to see too high unless they want to die. So again, like you want to get after it in the running game, like go to somewhere where there's JJ Smith because they can't just single him up. Now, again, if we don't throw it to him, that's one thing. But I always look at you guys. I love the word infrastructure. I talk about like what's around you. When you've got JJ and Carnell, man, that's the 2 best receivers in the country next year. So not to mention Julian Saint can really throw the ball. So I'm dying to be the factor back in that offense. And again, like Quinshawn and Travion, they didn't have the award season that I'm sure they wanted, but they're going to be really high draft picks because they're going to test well. They're unselfish. They're excellent pass blockers, especially Trey. And I think that that's something the teams are going to value because again, a lot of these teams, the template now for greatness in the NFL is the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions, superb offensive line. They signed David Montgomery, who's been great, and then they spent a top 12 pick on Jahmyr Gibbs. So they have 2 Pro Bowl running backs with a great line, good quarterback in Goff. He's not fantastic. He's really good. And they've got good skill. They play defense, but that's kind of the template that you need in modern football, especially in college football now that the season's so long. Like, again, these guys still could be playing 4 more games, which is crazy. And again, if we would have played the Big Ten championship, we literally could have been playing, if we would have lost the Big Ten title game, we could have played 5 games after the Michigan game, which is insane. And it just proves you got to have multiple running backs, and the kid from Boise State, Jeanty, his workload is going to be held against him in a major way as he goes through the draft process. They're going to look at 2,000 yards and 300 and something carries and NFL teams, they love analytics. They love to see the kind of wear and tear. It's not just, he could be a true, horse of a running back, but I think that Trey and Quinshawn, I'm not saying they'll get drafted ahead of them. They could. They test better. They've got less wear and tear on the tires because NFL teams, they do a lot of projecting based on your potential. It's not just a linear, well, he ran for 2,000 yards in college. So that probably means he'll be a 1,200 yard back in the NFL. So let's take him in the first round. It's not like that. Is he a system fit? Can he pass block? What's he give you in the receiving game? Because kid from Boise is great, but he was kind of a one-man wrecking crew. Fantastic season, obviously, with 2,000 yards. But in modern football, with analytics and with the throwing game, and the throwing game and how it's developed in especially the National Football League, these guys have to be able to pass block. Have to. I mean, it's something that it really hurt JK coming out because JK, obviously, he's as productive as a first-round running back, but he's a terrible pass blocker. So he fell a little bit in the draft. Wasn't a first rounder like he probably should have been. And he's been productive this year until he got hurt. So it's going to be very interesting to see who we go with. But they are going to add a veteran running back. Like Mark, they're not just going to have the kids and hope that the kids are all okay because you can't do that when you have a freshman, a sophomore, and Julian Saint at quarterback. You got to have a veteran back there standing next to him. Especially one that's physical and can pass protect the way Justice Haynes can. I keep wanting to call him Veron. That's his old man's name, but Justice is a really good player. I mean, these guys would both be spectacular additions, and I don't know if there's any more smoke about Quinshawn coming back, but that would be stunning. Again, at this time last year, I didn't think that we're going to get Trey Henderson back, so that'll be something to watch. Again, I'm not going to hold my breath for that one, but with NIL. It's a whole new ball of wax. All you guys that don't love NIL, I love NIL because guys can actually come back and make some money, and it's significant money, and it's not just all or nothing like it was back in the day. It was either you stay poor for another year or you go to the league and make some real scratch. So, something to watch for, in my opinion. Nevada, anything to add to that?
Yeah, the Quinshawn thing's been interesting because I've been contacted by a number of people that keep saying that's on the table. And I remember this time last year when the Trey Henderson stuff was coming up and we'd hear that and we'd be like, yeah, we heard it, but we're not believing it. So I'm kind of putting this in that same category as I'm hearing it, but I'm not believing it. But, the argument for that would be, Quinshon really fell off the second part of the year. I thought Trey really separated from
Mhm.
Quinshon the second half of the year. And I could see, Quinshon not being happy with the kind of season he had and wanting to, have a better season. So, I mean, that would be the argument for it. Obviously, along with the great point you make about NIL, it's a totally different world now with NIL because kids can afford to come back. And like you said, it's not you can go on to riches or you can eat ramen. It's not that scenario anymore. You can get paid quite well and stay in school. So I think that is something that deserves keeping an eye on. Because because I've heard it. I've heard it from multiple people from multiple different sources. That's something that's under consideration, and I would have thought that would have been unthinkable 2 or 3 months ago. But now I think it's less unthinkable and certainly worthy of note.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where like if you're a guy who isn't at the top of your class, because the guy who has a decision, and again, it's our old friend like Quinn Ewers has a decision to make, because he has serious like an 8-figure offer to come back to college for one more year and potentially enhance his stock, not at Texas. And again, that's something that was unfathomable previously, and like I mean, do you go into the draft class and kind of jockey for position and hope that it's okay? I mean, Quinn's bugaboos is he gets hurt a lot. I mean, he doesn't finish a lot of games, and Quinn's super talented and shredded Michigan when he went up there and looks fantastic. But he's had some injuries, and again, when you play in the NFL, the guys are way bigger and way faster, and the offensive linemen are usually worse because you've got like a lot of injuries, practice squatters, whatever. So there's usually a bigger drop off in talent when you lose a guy in the league. Like you lose Trent Williams with the 49ers, you got to put a practice squatter out at left tackle, and it's not always pretty. But I like NIL. I mean, it'll be something that'll be good for some of these guys because again, some of these guys, like if you're Quinshon, I mean, you got a decision to make because you really teams will monitor that he kind of fell off a little bit down the stretch, and Trey was really kind of the lead dog. His production went down. Did he get tired? Did he hit a wall? Was he not used correctly? Like I don't know. But he's got a chance to come back and be the lead horse in a duo, and you can make some 7 figures. I mean, again, it's kind of like it's almost like you get like a second signing bonus. Because Quinshon won't be a first round pick. He'll be, I'd say 2 or 3 ish. Based upon his how he tests, especially how he runs his 40. But I mean, your signing bonus is going to be $3 million, $4 million, which is obviously a ton of money. I'm not demeaning that, but he could probably get something close to that to come back for Ohio State for another year. And if he has a big year, he could be maybe not a first round pick, but be a second round pick, and you get it's like you basically get 2 signing bonuses. But again, that's his decision. It's up to him, and there's always risks, and that was something that some of the sites were reporting that Josh Simmons might come back for another year because they're going to be with Ryan Day, and I'm like, Josh Simmons hired Drew Rosenhaus. Has Drew Rosenhaus in the history of mankind ever told a kid to come back for another year? No. And Drew Rosenhaus is one of the greatest agents to ever live, but Josh Simmons can, and again, if I was advising him, if I was the line coach at Ohio State, I'd say, dude, you got to go. Because if you have another catastrophic knee injury, you're done. You're going to be a 7th round pick, and you're going to have 5,000 MRIs at the combine, and they're going to deem that your knee is arthritic or whatever, and you'll be red flagged. Like that was something. And again, I'm not blaming it on me, but like I was medical red flagged by a lot of teams for my knee. My knee was bad coming out of Ohio State, had multiple surgeries on it. And I was taken off the board. And again, I'm not mad about that, but it's just part of the gig. Like, if he can get through the patellar thing, rehab it right, again, surgeries are getting better and better every year. It's a big deal. But like, I remember like when I was sitting through the draft, like I dropped like a rock in the draft, and I was like, my agent's you'll be between a 3rd and 5th round pick. And I was like, great, whatever. And I'm sitting there at the end of the 7th round, and I'm like, why am I dropping like a rock? And he's like, your medicals were terrible. Like your knee was not good when we did the combine stuff. I had to do a medical recheck, and the problem is like I heard it at the Senior Bowl, so I couldn't run at the combine. I couldn't do anything at the combine. And I was the guy that I would have tested really well, so it really sucked because I had my knee scoped literally the Saturday of the Senior Bowl. I got hurt in practice, had to get my knee fixed. And that's why I tell all these kids, do not play in the Senior Bowl. Like, I don't care what they say. They can call you soft. They can say that you're a non-competitor. I'm like, dude, all you have to do at this point is just get to the draft and go through the combine and not get hurt. That's all you have to do. So if you're done playing, especially now that these guys have, now these guys have a playoff and they could play 4 games. Like, there's no way you should play in the Senior Bowl. But like, I told Decker that he didn't play in it. I told Elfline. I mean, all my guys, I said, do not play in that game. It's not going to help you. And the risk is too high, especially when you're a high level dude. So again, that's just a little inside baseball. And like Josh Simmons, like, he's just got to, go through the physicals, because he'll have 2 medical checks at the combine. He'll have one at the original one, and then they fly you back out for a second one, like right before the draft, just to double confirm it. And he'll be rehabbing, but he'll probably be close to ready for training camp, I think. With a patellar and just doing everything the right way. And teams will hold him. He might not play till midseason, but once you dust him off, like, you've got a really talented pass blocker and a guy that could play a long time in the league, because he's as athletic as a lot of the really crispy defensive ends. So yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch. And I know that we're hosting offensive linemen. We got my boy Big Worlds. He's supposed to be coming in. He visited Texas A&M on Friday. I think he's got to stop by and see what we have to offer him. But yeah, there's a lot of guys that are kind of on the board, and some are committing. And guys, don't fret if the kid that the Tayo kid that committed to Cincinnati, we didn't offer him, so you can't take them all. And again, we have to be selective, because I really trust, as much as people want to kill Justin Fry and the people, but we hit 2 Grand Slam home runs in the last 2 years in the portal on the offensive line with Josh Simmons and Seth McLaughlin, Remington winner Seth McLaughlin. So yeah, and again, I'm gonna throw this back to you, Nevada, but it's so funny with Seth McLaughlin. When he committed here, it was ho-hum. His snaps against Michigan sucked. He's not very good. Alabama didn't want him back. And this dude ends up being first-team All-American and winning the Remington, which is like, that's why I tell you guys, I'm like, look, wait till he gets into our program. Let's see what he does. Like, again, in Chip Kelly's scheme, it's very friendly for offensive linemen. And the kid ends up being a Remington Award winner in his 1 year at Ohio State. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the only thing that's kind of more ironic than that is that we go into the season, and the biggest complaint on the message board was about the offensive line. And we have 3 guys off the offensive line make first team All-American. I mean, I'm sure that's happened before, but it hasn't happened often at Ohio State. They have 3 offensive linemen first team All-American in the same year. You're kind of a historian on all things Ohio State and all things offensive line. Can you recall any?
Did Josh get a postseason one?
Yeah,
I know Donnie did. He got a postseason All-American team.
Yeah, CBS.
No way. Yeah, after like 5 games?
Will Johnson made it. Will Johnson got it.
He played like 3 games the whole season.
Exactly. So I'm not saying this was like super legit, but it was just. Well, and I'm not saying they won't be treeing the grove, but it was like
like every organization in the world gets a tree now. Like I said, that's the big change from like when I played. There were 20 All-American teams, and only 4 of them counted. So you could make we had guys make the Sports Illustrated All-American team. That didn't count for a tree. ESPN did not count for a tree, because again, if I didn't make the coaches, like in general, the most prestigious All-American team is the coaches All-American team, because it's literally voted by the coaches. It's not voted by the media or by Walter Camp or by whatever. So the coaches one is usually the most prestigious. And I made that one, thank God. But I made ESPN.com too. And it's like, if I would have only made ESPN and not made the coaches, I would have not gotten a tree. I would have made the wrong All-American team. But Urban corrected that. So now if you have the Sheetz gas station All-American team, you get a tree or whatever. I mean, there's 700 All-American teams. So there's a lot of spread on it. But which is fine. It gives guys more chance to make it. So you'll have Donnie and Josh, and again, like Josh, I think. Go ahead. And Seth,
Donnie and Seth. We got.
Seth is the one that's obviously the most deserving, because he played the best. Donnie, I think he got some merit because he moved to tackle. Obviously, he made it at guard. Donnie played well, and again, Donnie. Part of the thing that helps is when you have that hype train of being a 5-star. and you start early and you kind of just propel yourself up the mountain of the voting. Like because if you're an offensive lineman and you're preseason All-American, as long as you don't just vomit all over yourself, like there's a good shot you're going to make postseason All-American, unless your team's just terrible or you're just you have a game where you're just atrocious and it's on national TV. Like in general, like if for guards, like most of the people that are voting for these things, they don't know what they're evaluating in a guard other than this kid's really good and he's rated high. I mean, I saw an ESPN mock draft that had Donnie going last pick of the first round. So, I mean, again, Donnie, he's a physical specimen, really good player. Really love that Greg Suwari got him because he's a 5-star kid from out of state. And those are really hard to get on the offensive line. So shout out Stud. As one of his last guys he got. But yeah, we'll miss Donnie. Donnie's a guy that probably should have been a captain. And again, he did a really noble thing and moved out to left tackle. And he has the big sombrero this week because 27, Tennessee's defensive end, is the best player on their entire team. He was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, pass rusher extraordinaire, 11 sacks or 10 or 11 sacks this year. And that's Donnie's guy. That's going to be the matchup. So Donnie's got to eat his Wheaties this week because that's a good. And again, Chip Kelly needs to help this guy. Help out versus that guy. The other guy's good. He's not as good as 27 is. Any thoughts on that, Nevada? We were starting to get some super chats in. And also, happy birthday to Sean Schrock. Again, one of the great members of the Scoop family. He's a moderator on here. He has me on a group. Him and Steeler are on a group chat. So my phone, I get about 600 texts a day between the three of them. And I appreciate those guys so much. They're such great people. So again, happy birthday to my dude. I don't know if you're on here right now, but I appreciate all you do for being on here every night. With the crew, appreciate the loyalty and all of the happiness that you bring to everybody. You guys are the best. You, Steely, Beth and Karis, Sean Rollins, like all of you regulars that are on here in the chat, keeping it lit. I appreciate you guys so much. But happy birthday to our boy Sean Schrock. Nevada, any thoughts? We'll dig into a couple of super chats.
Yeah, I always thought that having a birthday around Christmas was kind of like one of those bogus deals because you don't get gifts, and so I wonder if Sean's kind of feeling the heat, man. Because
you know what he told me he wanted for his birthday? Because I asked him, I was like, "Are you getting anything good?" You know what he said he wanted? Do you know?
What do you want?
A Navajo Sterling win tonight. Navajo Sterling knockout, flash knockout, 10 seconds.
Dun.
He's like,
"Let's go." That's what we all want. That's what we all want. We all have getting our birthday.
That is the gift that keeps on giving. And if it goes the other way, then Kirk's going to be doing a solo podcast for a few days. We're not even going to talk about that.
We're just going to have a black screen up on the right-hand side. Take out the Nevadabuck, but just a black
Nevada's going to be, he's going to be at the big Freddy's in the sky after that, man. He's going to be drinking his Oreo strawberry milkshake.
I'll be working at Freddy's.
Listen, are you the new franchise owner? No, I'm here to mix the shakes.
I'm the
Where's
fry cook. I'm SpongeBob.
How long do I drop these fries for? Like 2.5 minutes? Should I turn up the heat of the oil a little bit or no?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. Let's go Navajo.
Let's go Navajo fry guy. Yeah, so let's dig into these. Oh, here we go. Mark Pollitt starting us off the right way by saying, Kirk and Nevada, please no singing today. I'm trying to eat my lunch. Well, I appreciate that. Again, our new anthem for this is going to be the Mountain Mama song, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, West Virginia, not Western Virginia, not the West.
It could be worse. I could be singing Manic Monday or something like that. So you guys don't want to hear that. So
the Navajo Trail of Tears, Nevadabuck.
Just another manic Monday. Wish it were Sunday. Come on, everybody.
We can do a soundtrack for the show.
That'd
be good. All the Bangles and the song that Jessica Alba danced to in the movie Honey, and that's it.
Oh man, yeah. Let's go.
Jessica Alba is Scoop fan of the Scoop.
Scoop dreams.
That is real Scoop dreams. Nevada honest. The new CEO of Honest Brands, Nevadabuck, multi-billion-dollar company. It's amazing, cruelty-free. Sean Rollins, thank you for the 10. Thanks for being ultra. Thanks for being an awesome mod. I hope you're doing good. The king of Worcester, the Worcester Generals. Happy birthday to Sean Schrock. Hope your day is great, brother. Appreciate you, Sean. Sean. If you are a Sean and you'd like to be a moderator, please apply because it's almost like an auto accept. So all of our moderators are Sean except for Kim. Kim Kim is Kim and Akeem and Dev. So, but I appreciate you guys. Beth and Karis, what is up? Appreciate you guys being Ultra member. I believe Tennessee might face the wrath from us losing to the team up north. Happy birthday, Sean, Nevada OH. Nevada, we're a week out. How are you feeling about the game? Are you nervous, excited? Are you already cold? What are your thoughts as we're a week away from the Tennessee Volunteers coming to the shoe?
I'm excited. I'm excited. I really think we're going to see good Ryan, and I'm excited to see it. Now I'm trying to kind of hold back as much as I can, but you can tell the excitement's starting to brim up. I sometimes believe, I've posted many times little stuff about, hey, in every bad situation, there's something good that comes out of it. You guys know that stuff's well documented. But sometimes it takes that to, look for the blessing, try to find the silver lining. And I think the silver lining could be that we finally see the full capabilities of the OSU offense, much like we've seen the full capabilities of the OSU defense. And Tennessee is going to be the first place we try it out, and we'll see how it goes. But I like what I'm hearing. I like the attitude. I obviously have to see it executed in a game, just like the rest of you. I'm skeptical hippo until we get there, but from what I'm hearing, I think we're going to unleash the full power of the Battle Star, and I'm excited about it.
Is the Battle Star is that the off-brand version of the Death Star? Is that like the one? If you don't get like the real Legos, you get like the fake Legos.
I was thinking like Battlestar Galactica. You remember Battlestar Galactica? The old.
Was that in like the 70s?
The old one, the old Battlestar Galactica. They had the hot lieutenant in that Battlestar Galactica. I had like the biggest crush on her. I can't remember who that was. Aaron something or another, I believe her name was. But
Liz Taylor or something.
No, it's kind of like the crush I had on Judy in Lost in Space, the oldest daughter in Lost in Space. I always thought Judy was like beautiful. I'm like, if I was lost in space, I want to be lost in space with Judy, not with like the robot and Dr. Smith and stuff like that. I want to be with Judy.
I want to be with Navajo Sterling.
I want to be with Navajo Sterling. The Terminator.
The Terminator.
That's what we want.
Yes, we do. Unless he loses, then we can just eject him into space with no oxygen. Just go shoot him out there into the space. He's like he'd go floating away like, no, I lost. I'm in space. And you'd be shooting you'd send the TIE fighters after him to blast him into smithereens. That'd be perfect.
Can't happen. Let's go Navajo.
D Sunny, thanks for the 5. Hope you're having a great Saturday, my dude. Appreciate you, my man. How important do you think it is for NFL scouts to see players play in college? Are there big advantages over just watching film? Yes, that is a great question. It is something that I talk to a lot of scouts, and it's funny because I've got friends that are GMs. I literally was a teammate of Ryan Poles, which is hilarious. And film is great, but I think that when you're really evaluating a guy, it's hard to evaluate his temperament on film. It's hard to evaluate. I think his physicality, his explosion, his violence. I mean, you can get some of that on film, but when you see a dude in person and you see how big some of these guys are and how physically, like a guy that's a great example, like Chase Young was arguably had the best defensive season ever at Ohio State. His last year in 19, he won every award and Heisman, finalists and the rest. But he, seeing him in person at warmups and just around a different level of physicality and size and, muscle mass. And then you see his speed and his get off in person. You're like, yeah, this guy's going to be a problem. So he ends up going 2 overall in the draft. I think that, you want to evaluate how big guys really are. I mean, obviously you can kind of eyeball it and benchmark it on film, but you want to just kind of verify it. That's why a lot of scouts go to practice, is to kind of get a check on the measurables and say, okay, this guy's gained weight, he's lost weight, he's about the right height, looks explosive. But a big thing that you can pick up is the demeanor of the kid. Is he excited to play the game? Is he, is he miserable? Is he a punk to the trainers and the water girl, or does he treat them with respect? There's all these little things, because you get evaluated for everything when you're there, and that's something that when you're at the game, is he a leader? Is he bringing the team up? Is he a captain? Is he vocal? Is he quiet? Is he whatever? And again, there's it's not always like you have to be some wild screaming cheerleader or whatever, but they're all data points. And again, because this is a $1 billion industry when you're in the NFL, and the higher you go up the food chain, you're gonna want to do more intel. Like Shador Sanders, like I'm sure they've had private investigators all through Boulder and people digging all over the place, like the Giants have, I'm sure, and Vegas has, I'm sure, because they're you're making a big decision as you go down, further down, like you want to get as much intel as you can. And sometimes at practice, you might find something that you weren't even looking for, which is great. But again, I always loved when scouts were at practice. I knew that it'd always be, especially as a coach. Like I loved when I didn't care when I was a player. I was always the same. It didn't matter if there was 1,000 scouts or nobody or whatever. I was always the same. But like some of our kids would turn up a little bit more when the scouts were in because they want to get noticed. So they'd play harder. They'd be more tuned in. They'd be more running in between drills and running after drills. And the scouts love that, again, because football's tough. And there were times I hated football because I put so much pressure on myself. But it was a means to an end for me. And it was something that is giving me everything. Like when people ask me would I let my kids play, I'm like, yeah, of course. Like football's given me everything in my life. And the game's also never been safer. It's way safer than when I played. Targeting and stuff, like none of that existed. The technology in the helmets is way better. But the scouts seeing these guys in person is just such a great way to verify, kind of fact check what you've seen on film, if that makes sense. Nevada, you've done a lot of scouting for a lot of sports, football, hockey, baseball. You've owned teams. What can you add about kind of scouting players? I mean, you were in major junior hockey drafts for the Portland Winterhawks, that type of thing. What are some things that you could add to that? Like, how important is it for your guys? Because again, you had scouts in your system to see people in person versus just judging it off of film.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the big things that we used to do is our scouts would go to games where they knew that it was like a blowout or that the player wasn't going to play a lot or that it was going to be to see kind of how engaged they were as a teammate. Because, it's one thing when you're out there playing and you can, like I said, there's a certain amount of data that you can get about what kind of player they are, on the ice or on the field, but we want to see how they interact with their teammates. Are they still engaged? Are they still cheering for the other guys? Are they moping because they're not getting shifts or not? I think that chemistry and makeup are just so important, and it's really been the difference between why we were one of the first teams ever in hockey to really, because hockey for years was dominated by measure. It was almost kind of like Moneyball, where they were looking for a certain type of player in hockey. And if you go back to the great Winterhawks team, we had some great Winterhawks teams. We were drafting little guys. We were drafting little guys that could skate, and we were like, we don't care how big they are. We don't care, we just want little guys that can skate that compete. And so, measuring how competitive a guy is, that goes to how do they compete in practice? How do they compete in games? Where does it kind of go there? Because I just think those intangibles are what set people apart. And I've seen it happen a million times where the great, big, good looking athlete, but he doesn't have the same type of motor, doesn't have the same type of engine as the little guy, just flames out. And you'll have a little guy like a Brendan Leipzig or a Nick Patan or something like that goes on and goes on to NHL fame and fortune. As a 10th round, Chase Delio as a 10th round pick in the draft, 5'3", little guy, but they have the motor, they have the desire. So I'm looking for the desire. I'm looking for the intellect. I'm looking for the intangibles, because I think that literally is the secret sauce that separates good athletes from great athletes.
How can you not name your boy Seth Jarvis? I mean, he signed a $64 million contract. You're talking about like little guys that were
but because Seth was a first round pick though. Seth
He's a
was
phenom. I got you.
He was. I'm talking about the guys that like Brendan Leipzig. We take Brendan Leipzig in like the 7th round, like the 165th pick. Nobody takes Brendan Leipzig. Brendan Leipzig leads the WHL in scoring as a 17-year-old. And you're playing against 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. You're a 17-year-old, and he leads the league in scoring. Like that never happens. And I love Leiper, but he was a guy that, like, literally the first time on the ice, he comes the first time on the ice, training camp, and he lights up like 3 big guys like on the opening shift. He just like takes guys' heads off, and we're like, oh, we like that kid right there. Let's keep an eye on that one. He was the guy that we were on the power play. We were on a 5-on-3 power play in the playoffs, in the finals, and he goes and drinks out of the goalie's water bottle and got a 2-minute minor for unsportsmanlike conduct during a power play.
God.
Yeah, so I mean that's like that, which is one of the great moves of all time. He drinks out of his water bottle. So
did they did you guys score, or was it just like a stoppage and you whatever took a swig?
It was a stoppage, and he just went over the water bottle top thing, took the water, took the water bottle, and they called the penalty. They called it unsportsmanlike conduct. And after the game, he was like, "But I was thirsty."
Was it? Were you guys on the power play and make it 4-on-3? Okay.
Yes, we were on a 5. No, we made it 5-on-4. We were on a 5-on-3 power play, and it went to a 5-on-4 because he decided to take a drink out of the goalie's water bottle. But
were you guys winning?
It was a close game, but we ended up winning the game, so it ended up being a funny story. And
it ended up being a great story. Then I was like, if you're up 5-0, you probably do that. That's ballsy. I mean, take a penalty on something that dumb, but I mean, hey, if it sparked the team, it's whatever. But yeah,
everybody was dying when he did it. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen on the ice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing, and for those of you guys that aren't familiar with junior hockey, like the WHL is the best league in the world for juniors. Like that's where Connor Bedard came from, and the Portland Winterhawks are a dynasty. They've had a ton of great players, and it's serious. Like hockey's a whole different animal compared to football. David Furnace, thank you for the 20. Hope you're doing good, my friend. Kirk in Nevada, have you heard anything about how this week's practices went and what is the mindset of the team? What about Buckeye Nation showing up and getting allowed to make the shoot as hostile as possible? Nevada OH. Well, David, what I've heard is out of the breakdown games, one of the things that they said was Georgia, because Georgia had a great plan versus these guys, and they really limited the explosives that we gave up. And I think that the key to this game is you can't let their defense make explosive plays like sacks, negative plays, limit turnovers. If you just, take care of the ball and limit those, you're going to win. Because again, you want to make that quarterback beat you. They've got a tremendous rushing game. Their tailback was all SEC. You got to get him on the ground, tackle him. And, but like I said, we've got good players too. People are all scared of Tennessee, but I was like, we have a better roster than they do. I don't care what anybody says. And Will Hard's going to be healthy for this game. He wasn't healthy versus Michigan. So I like what I've heard of the plan. We're going to get the ball out quick. You have to versus the Steel line. And we have to feed JJ. Like when JJ has got to win this game. And I'm talking about, you got to hand it to him on reverses. You got to hand it to him on jet sweeps, tunnel screens, get it to JJ. Like let the Marmaduke eat. Because again, he's our Travis Hunter. He's our best player by far, and he's the guy that we need to feature way more than we did versus Michigan. I think that was one of the worst game plans I've ever seen, and a lot of it's because we ran right at their best players, and we didn't involve JJ at all in the second half. So we got to throw the ball. They've been practicing outside, and it's been really good. Nevada, you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, no, I think look, the game plan is going to be aggressive. It's going to be aggressive defensively. It's going to be aggressive offensively. We just got to see them follow through with it. As for the fans, I mean, the majority of the secondary market stuff is going to Tennessee fans. I think we'll have the largest infusion of visiting fans that we've ever had. And there's never been anything quite like a home playoff game. So it automatically sets up kind of some different dynamic. But I think you'll see more orange and more overalls in the stadium than we've ever seen in the history of Ohio Stadium. So for the Ohio State fans that are going to be there, for the other 80%, it's got to be as loud as you possibly can, make it uncomfortable. But it's going to be a heck of an environment.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're excited. They're going to be coming up, and again, it's going to be I think it's going to be a pretty mixed crowd. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they had 35% of the stadium, just because, again, if you're a Tennessee Vols fan, like, when are you ever going to see the horseshoe again? Let alone it's the first playoff ever, let alone Tennessee. The difference between like us and Tennessee is like, our fan base is so spoiled that like, we've gone to the playoffs so many times that people, if we go to the Cotton Bowl, which is a non-playoff venue like last year, our fans don't even go. So, because again, what do people want to do? They want to replenish their budget because, going to these playoff games is, I mean, you take, a family of 4, you're spending $10,000 to go to a game, airfare, tickets, hotel, at least $10,000. So it's a ton of money. So Tennessee hasn't been in the significant bowl game in a long time. Like they've never made the playoffs. They've never really been relevant. So their fan base has been sitting on some coinage just because they don't. I mean, unless they want to go to the Music City Bowl or the Continental Tire Bowl or whatever. It's like the bowls that they normally play in. Like it's just not a big deal. But now that you get to play in a playoff game in the Horseshoe, Tennessee and their storied history has never played in the obviously we only played them was the year that Peyton was there in 98, 96, 97. It was like 97. I think it's 90. It was like January 97. It was the 96 season. 97 season, I think. Yeah, or whatever it was. 95. It was one of those years. 95. I think it was 95. Eddie was there. It was 95. So Eddie's Heisman year, they played Peyton in the Citrus Bowl. Apologize for getting that all scrambled up. But that's the only time we ever played them. So yeah, I think that they're gonna roll deep because again, there's that faction of the fans, and we've got a big fan base that likes to go explore the world and go see Oregon and go see Oklahoma and go see Virginia Tech and watch the Enter Sandman entrance like in person, watching the Buckeyes, because that's kind of the cool thing about like when we do these big out of conference games is like you get to go down to like we're gonna go down to Tuscaloosa in a couple years and play the Crimson Tide, and for most of us like we don't really have any desire to go down to Alabama to watch a football game in the SEC. But if Ohio State's playing, then it's like, well, let's go check the stadium out and see it and see what all the hoopla is, because it's just kind of what it is. And those games don't come along very often. Like we might never see Tennessee in the Horseshoe again. Again, I don't know if they're on the out of conference schedule and way up in the future, but they're not in the next few years. So, our fans like to pack it up and roll down to, I'm sure we'll have a lot of fans down in Austin, Texas next year. In 2 years, we have we have Texas coming to open the season next year. So their fans are no different. They're passionate. And like I said, they've got, a lot of money laying around. Cause like I said, I think our fan base, they kind of get crushed. Cause I mean, we play in so many big games that are like playoff affiliated or Big Ten title games that it drains the bank account quick, so they haven't had that problem. So I think that there's going to be a large contingent coming up here. Nevada, T-Dub, thank you for the 5. Says, what player are you the most confident will land in the portal? I think that the guy, to me, it has to be Josh Thompson from Northwestern. I mean, he's here. He's visiting. It seems like a pretty easy fit. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, I don't think he's as good as Seth McLaughlin, but you got to remember, like, that's where the development comes in. And you look at where, Seth McLaughlin started when he was in the transfer portal versus to where he finished. Like, he's a kid started at center at Alabama, and he was maybe a lower tier, maybe honorable mention. He was not a first team all SEC guy by any stretch. And same with Josh Simmons, was a guy that was maybe honorable mention in this conference, but he wasn't like some cinch, he's not like Caleb Downs, who was an all SEC freshman and came in and dominated. Like, I mean, Seth McLaughlin's the guy that got developed here, and so did Josh Simmons. So this is a kid that if I was Justin Fry, I would just be hammering the crap out of that. I talk about DeJuan Jones, and I talk about these two guys that came from San Diego State. And again, Alabama, obviously tremendous development down there, but when you go from a guy who's like honorable mention all conference to winning the Remington and being, almost a consensus first team All-American, then that's tall cotton. That's great work by Justin Fry and Mickey Marotti and Chip Kelly and Ryan Day. So yeah. But that's the guy I'd say. Again, I don't know if there's anyone else that's even close at this point in Nevada. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
Look, I think there's a lot of guys that are right behind it, but I think he's clearly the guy that we feel the best about right now. Now that could change over the next 24 hours, but as you mentioned, you've got 2 portal offensive linemen that came in. Seth McLaughlin more so. I mean, Josh Simmons came in completely unheralded. Nobody was excited about Josh Simmons when he came in. Nobody, not a single person in the world was like, oh my gosh, we got this kid from San Diego State. It was like, oh, what in the world is this? Blah, 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 blah. And the guy ends up a first team All-American. So it's like, when you have 2 first team All-Americans, both out of the transfer portal, as much as we bang on Justin Fry, he deserves all the credit because it was nobody else that was developing him. It was him. And I think that's going to speak loudly, and it has spoken loudly to a lot of people, a lot of offensive linemen in the portal, because that's exactly what they want.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you look at these guys and you look at like where they were when they came in, and like all I heard about with um, with Josh Simmons was his penalties. He had 17 penalties, and people are like, false starts and kind of all over the place. And I'm like, well, I mean, maybe we give him a chance. Maybe we can make him into something more than he is. And it happened. I mean, he turned into, I mean, he's going to be a first round pick, and the thing, like I said, with Seth, I mean, all I heard about was his snaps, and he wasn't very good versus Michigan. And I'm just like, I mean, as far as I'm looking, because I'm just getting a quick check at his bio, I don't even know if he was honorable mention all SEC. Now, maybe he was, and maybe it's just not listed on our crack media staff, but um, it says here what he was first team academic All-American, and he was a semifinalist for the Campbell, which is the academic Heisman last year, 3-time SEC academic honor roll. I don't see anything on here that says he was all honorable mention all SEC or second team all SEC. And I'll check to confirm that. I'll fact check that for tomorrow. But according to Ohio State's illustrious website and our sports information director, there is no listing for anything in terms of being all conference last year in the SEC. So we took a guy that, again, he might have been honorable mention somewhere, but it doesn't look like he was first or second team all SEC. And we turned him into a first team All American and the Remington Award winner. So again, that's very impressive. And again, so you just have to, the thing about us is we try to be fair, we try to be balanced, we try to call it down the middle. And again, we've been very critical of Justin Fry. He's taken a lot of heat from the fan base, but you can't ignore the development of him with Josh Simmons and with Seth McLaughlin. I mean, those guys they're going to be NFL players now. Seth is leaving in his one season with a tree in the Grove. And honestly, it's impressive when you're a postseason All-American. And this is something that, again, I did this. And again, I'm not trying to say whatever, but I was not a preseason All-American. So, I mean, I didn't have the tidal wave of media attention. I was preseason All Big Ten. I wasn't preseason All-American. I don't think there was a single preseason All-American team that had me as a first team guy, but I was postseason All-American. So again, it's harder to do as an offensive lineman because we don't have statistics. It's not like we're a running back that can get 2,000 yards or a receiver that can get 130 catches and 15 touchdowns. And you can say, okay, that's an All-American because of the statistics. Like when you're an O-lineman, a lot of it is the preseason hype train, and hopefully you don't vomit on yourself and you can sustain that all the way to the end and actually be a postseason All-American. But I was not. I might have been a second or third team preseason All-American, but I was not a first. I don't think anywhere. So that's the same with Seth. Seth was not a preseason All-American. Donnie was across the board. I don't think Josh Simmons was either. So it's very very good work by Justin, developing him into what he became. D Sonny, thank you for the 10. Hope you're good, brother. I'm a member of the board, but usually stay off so that I don't get stuck for hours. But I want to say thank you guys for this daily show. I appreciate you, my man. Again, you're as good of a poster as we have on here and on the board, and your questions are always excellent. So I appreciate you. Just a daily hour of real information. Yeah, again, Nevada and I talk probably, if there's 24 hours in a day, Nevada and I legitimately probably talk for 2 hours a day on the phone and on the thing and talking about a million different things. But we love doing this show. It is a joy. It is always something that we're real competitive about. We always want to have good information, good film breakdowns, the latest in what's going on with Ohio State football. We work the phones all day, text messages all day, to give you guys some great information. And again, we like to do it in a fun manner. It's always and again, the questions and you guys really make the show, like the audience, the Scoop family, you guys carry us a lot of times because you guys ask great questions. I mean, we get some good material ready to go, but then we get into this part of the show and it's like, it's unbelievable the stuff that you guys think of to ask us. And I'm like, that is fantastic. Again, like the thing about scouting in person, like that's something that, when we're writing out a show or talking out a show, like I wouldn't think of that. But D Sunny brought that to the table. And I was like, that is a great question. And again, I study football incessantly all day. I look at film and I'm watching stuff and I love studying the game. So I always, and I talk to a lot of people that are in football. So it's something where I could kind of illuminate what it means when people want to go and see people in person. And, the 49ers, a couple of weeks ago when I walked in, I'm with John Lynch, who's their GM, and they had about 8 guys. It was when they played the Packers, because obviously they flew the private jet from San Francisco to Columbus and scouted us. And then they flew up to Green Bay for the game. So yeah, I mean, it's important to see guys in person. And San Francisco had like 8 guys here watching our guys. So, but it's good stuff. Nevada, your thoughts again. D Sunny, thanks for the 10. He says, I'm a member of the board. And again, if you guys want a great Christmas gift, if you guys are scratching your head about what to get yourself, your significant other, your kids, anyone that you care about, BuckeyeScoop.com, our memberships are incredible. Great deals. And something that you're going to use year round. And most people that sign up for it, it's one of the best things they ever do because it's so cheap and it's so fun and you meet so many great people and you get so much insight and it's just cathartic to get on there sometimes and just talk about Ohio State football. And it's open 24 hours a day. Like I said, it's like the best casinos or hotels in Las Vegas. Like it's always cracking. It's always on fire. It's always fun. That's what our message board is. It's like a really exclusive club and we'd love for you guys to join it. But D Sunny says, I am a member of the board, but usually stay off so I don't get stuck for hours. But I want to thank you guys for this daily show. Just a daily hour of real information. What are your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, again, it's such a nice compliment. Thank you. Yeah, the message board is absolutely yeah. It's easy to get lost in there because there's so many interesting topics and interesting rabbit holes to kind of go down. And as you mentioned, if you're looking for that great Christmas gift, nothing better than if the gift of information is the best. I mean, it's why I love going on YouTube. I love going on YouTube and just hunting around for videos of stuff that I want to watch. And I find this stuff super interesting. And we try to stay topical and have always interesting topics going on. But that's a really nice compliment, D Sunny. Appreciate it. Thank you.
If you guys want to watch a very compelling video, YouTube Navajo Sterling, because his knockouts are scary. And the guy he's going against is a tomato can. So
yes, he is.
Tuco is fat and out of shape, and Navajo he's 7 years younger and he is fast. Dressel Spectacles, thank you for the 10. When they bring in potential transfers, do they work those guys out or do they just hang out and give them a tour? When they bring in potential transfers, do they put them? I think you're gonna say put them through a workout. It got cut off. You're not allowed to work guys out on campus when they come on visits. So that's a rule that's always been like that. It's no different. The transfer portal visits they mirror the same rules as an official visit for high school kids. So you can't work a kid out on his official visit. You can put him on the scale and see what he weighs, especially if he's a big guy and see if his weight's accurate. But you can't work a guy out. So there's no working a guy out because again, you don't want a kid to tear his Achilles tendon, running a drill on your campus. And I understand the rule, but there's no working the kids out at all. It's just you bring them in, you kind of feel them out a little bit. I mean, I'm sure one of the things that we're really big on is we like to put the kids on the chalkboard, the grease board, the markers, and try to have them install some plays and learn our concepts and just kind of see how well they can learn the offense, kind of figure out their cognitive or that with a cognitive standpoint. And, it's just get to know the kid, get to know the personality. You want to get them around your players, your current guys to see if he's a fit. Because again, when I was hosting kids, I would be really honest with our offensive coordinator, with Jim Bowman, when he would pair me with a kid. If he's a good kid, like Jeff Byers, won him. He was the number one player in the country, didn't get him, went to SC. If he's a turd, I don't want him anywhere near the program. And I would be very blunt. And again, I wasn't doing it to kneecap a kid, but and there's always a sliding scale based upon how good the kid is. But if a kid acts like an idiot on an official visit, there's like a 98% chance he's not going to work here. He's going to flame out. He's going to hit the portal. He's going to be a drug guy on campus, and he'll be a lazy turd, and like he's just not going to be what you think he's going to be. And again, if you can prevent some of that, again, and it's not being a narc, but it's just like, you got to give those guys a good evaluation. And I was always very honest. It's like, this guy's a great kid. And again, that didn't always mean that he panned out and played great, but it's just something where you can kind of help the staff out if you give him a good evaluation. No, it's not, and I wasn't scared of any competition, but it's just like, if a guy's an idiot on his visit, like he's going to be an idiot. He's going to be 10 times worse when he actually gets here. And some of those guys, I'm like, we don't want that guy in our locker room. Nevada, your thoughts when they bring in, and again, Trustful Spectacles, thanks for the 10. He says, when they bring in potential transfers, do they work those guys out or they just hang out and give them a tour? What are your thoughts, Nevada? Anything to add to that? Obviously, they can't work them out during their visits.
No, I just, it's funny how different schools are looking for different things. I mean, a lot of schools really lean heavily on, like you said, their personal interactions with the kids. A lot of schools will get the players involved heavily and really, kind of get, the players' point of view on, will this kid be a good fit in, on the team, in the room, and that goes across sports. That goes for hockey, baseball, basketball, football. A lot of times, it's about how the person's going to fit in. Are they an Ohio State type of kid? And so I think they're looking for that. But yeah, they can't do any formal working out stuff for all the reasons that you said. That'd be bad if a guy's on an official visit blows out his hamstring or something like that, and that'd be a terrible official visit.
Yeah, and again, you don't want to. I don't know. Like, I mean, some coaches might take it too far. Like, there's a lot of NFL teams. They'd have to work guys out on campus because you would go on visits to NFL clubs. It is the same rule. If you went to their facility, they could not work you out, but they could come to your campus and work you out. And some of these workouts were just like brutal, to the point where the higher level guys just didn't even work out. They said, I'm not going to do it. And again, and there's been guys that have had serious injuries in those. So, and the NCAA doesn't want that smoke. And, the hardest part about it, honestly, like when I think more about it, is if a kid is in high school or he's in the transfer portal. Like Jaden Ballard is visiting Wisconsin right now. So say that for whatever reason, they were allowed to work Jaden out. Luke Fickle's working him out with Greg Gillum and all the old Trussell, not Jim, but his nephew, who's the DC there. If Jaden Ballard goes out and runs a 40 and he tears his ACL, then the biggest issue is that who's he insured by? Because, and again, I assume that his mom might have him on a plan or his dad might have him on a plan or whatever. But, when you're signed to a letter of intent at Ohio State, if you tear your knee up, they're paying for it. When I broke my foot, tore my knee, whatever, they're paying for it. Like, they're paying for the scope, they're paying for all the surgeries, all the medical care. So if Jaden Ballard's in the portal, he's off Ohio State's insurance, so if something happens and he's got a catastrophic, and again, it could be anything, you tear everything in your knee running or some crazy stuff. And Wisconsin's not going to pay for that. He's not signed. So I think that's the big reason why they ban it. The kids, and again, I guess they could have the kids sign a waiver. That's what they do in the high school camps. When the kids work out at Ohio State, they have to sign a waiver that Ohio State is not liable for anything. Because when I did hurt, and it's funny how this kind of comes full circle. When I hurt my knee at practice in the Senior Bowl, and I felt it. It was on the turf. I heard it pop. It sucked. And I wasn't on a heap because it was a torn meniscus. But I couldn't bend my knee, so I knew something was up, and I had to go get it fixed. When I came back to Columbus to get it fixed, I had the same Ohio State set it up, got everything ready to go. When the bill came, they're like, "We're not paying for this. This is on you." And thank God I took out a Cobra. I took out a Cobra coverage as a bridge from when I left Ohio State's coverage to when I got into the NFL. Because I had a Cobra policy that I was paying a crap load of money for to cover that. So it actually it saved me a ton of money when I got my knee surgery, because I had insurance. Which again, a lot of these guys, they just say screw it, and they don't get insurance from when they leave the Ohio State to they get to the NFL. And that's crazy, because like when you're training hard and you never know if the weight goes wrong while you're squatting, you hurt yourself, like something catastrophic could happen. And if you don't have insurance, you're gonna be paying a lot of money out of pocket. So James Hammond, thank you for the 5. He says Seth McLaughlin at Alabama was not even honorable mention in 2023. So again, the riddle has been solved, and I didn't think he was, because like when we get these portal guys, the accolades kind of follow him, and then you can kind of project out how good is he going to be here. So that's why a big reason why people weren't excited and they thought Seth McLaughlin sucked is because he didn't even make honorable mention all SEC. He didn't. He bad snaps versus Michigan and whatever. So nobody was excited. It's like Josh Simmons. I don't think he was honorable mention Mountain West, or maybe he was honorable mention Mountain West. I don't know what he was, but he wasn't first team all Mountain West or wherever San Diego State plays, whatever thing they're in. And Seth certainly wasn't. And they've both turned into All-Americans, which is great. Great by Justin Fry. Nevada, your thoughts on that with Seth?
Yeah. Now, it wasn't that long ago. Sometimes you have to go back in the Wayback Machine to remember how people were feeling when we got the commitment. But there wasn't like wild. People were more excited than they were about Josh Simmons, but it wasn't like Jonah Jackson or something like that. I mean, this is a guy that a lot of people felt was being, run out of Alabama, which I always found to be kind of an interesting take, but terrific player, great kid, and brutal loss for Ohio State just because of the way he got hurt. Just I mean, that'll be one for the we'll be talking about this one 20 years from now, but brutal loss for Ohio State.
I'm going to ask you and just be honest. Do you think if we went on the board right now, we could find like what is the most positive thing you think anybody said about Seth McLaughlin when he committed here? I mean, because that's the thing about our message board is we have receipts. So I mean, I just remember like in the scale of excitement, like Caleb Downs obviously broke the scale and the most exciting thing of all time. Seth, I felt like was literally the complete opposite. It was like we're taking Alabama's like trash and he's going to get beat out by some 5-star guy. Parker Brailsford's moving to center, so they moved him along, whatever. But I mean, because again, I always say this, look, I watched him and like he was okay. The snaps were a little shaky, and that's the hard part about like when you're a center. If your snaps are shaky versus Michigan and you lose, then it's like the end of days. And then he explained that it was the cadence and it was Jalen Milroe, whatever. And then he was fine this year. But I just I just remember, man, it was like, you want to talk about, we're getting the worst player on Alabama's line and, we're never going to be able to beat anybody with that guy. And it's like Josh Simmons, like all I heard about from Josh Simmons was that he had 17 false starts and, we'll never be able to win. And I was like, well, let's just like see what he does here, because again, like we've got a good system for developing these guys and put a lot of guys in the league, man. And we lead the league or lead the nation in Remingtons now. I mean, we're like Remington U now, which is crazy. But it's awesome. And LaCharles started all that. What are your thoughts? Because I can't remember there being a single excited person about Seth McLaughlin. And again, I'm always just very pragmatic where I'm just like, let's just see how he does. Again, because we took, and I mean this sincerely, I think a big reason for that was because the last kid we took from Alabama was Chad Lindsley. And he's the guy that started for them. And we took him in 2014 and people thought he was going to be our starting center and he's going to, basically take the job that ended up being Jacoby Bourne's, and he didn't even make it through training camp. Like he quit the team because he said it was too hard. I had a guy in the team. I was like, how's the kid from Alabama? He's like, he's absolutely terrible. And I was like, the guy, he started at Alabama and he's terrible. He's like, he's terrible. He's never going to play here. And sure as can be, he quit the team and like during camp or it was some weird time when he quit, but I don't know. I don't remember there being any exuberance over getting Seth, but glad we got him. I mean, fantastic player and heartbreaking that we lost 2 All-Americans on the O-line because the O-line gets beat to death. And I'm like, dude, take JJ Smith and Carnell Tate off the field. Or no. Take JJ and Emeka off the field and tell me how great Brian Hartline's recruiting is when he loses the top 2 guys. Or take Quinshawn and Trey out of the backfield and tell me how good the running backs are. It's like when you lose 2 All-Americans on a position group, take Jack and JT away. Like it's terrifying. No group can really overcome that, but we're going to try to. And again, you got to scheme it up and you got to help the young guys, but we got a shot to do some stuff. Nevada, I mean, do you remember there being any positives about Seth coming here?
Well, I mean, my thought was, hey, this guy started for Saban, so how bad can he possibly be? And so I not revisionist history. I was certainly cautiously optimistic that he was going to, at a minimum, provide depth. Kid, great things happen to him, and I'm really happy for the kid.
And you found out that he is a distant relative of Navajo Sterling as well. Very distant.
I did. This is the Navajo Sterling show today.
Yeah, from Alabama to South Africa, or wherever he's from, Australia. I don't know where Navajo's from, but he's a scary looking dude. All right, let's wrap this thing up, Nevada. Any final thoughts?
No, just watch for some portal action. Ohio State is a buyer, and they are trying to lock some guys down. Got some guys on campus, and hopefully here in the next 24 hours, we might have a bite and maybe even an announcement. So stay tuned to BuckeyeScoop.com. See you tomorrow.
Perfect. With that being said, appreciate you guys. We gotta get ready for Army Navy. Let's go midshipman. And my father-in-law is a Navy guy, so we are Navy around here. But I love Army too. I'm not gonna be like, I'm not that guy. It's not that deep. But excited to watch that. I always love watching that game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you guys enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, I appreciate you guys so very much for being on here this Saturday. A little early. Some of you guys might not have caught it live. You're out running and getting your Christmas errands done. But again, just love you guys to death. Again, incredible growth this month. This is going to be our biggest month we've ever done. And it's because of you guys. The trends are incredible on Buckeye Scoop. And just appreciate you guys tuning in, enjoying it. Commenting on the videos is huge for us. So if you guys do that, it is a great way to help the video. Like the video, send it to your friends, post it on your Facebook, post it on your LinkedIn, your Twitter, whatever. That all adds up and it's huge. If you want to do something huge for us again, I always am asking you guys, if there's one thing you say, Kirk, how can I help? Love the show. What's the best thing I could ever do to help you? If you subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, you can do both. They're completely free. That is a huge help to us. And again, I appreciate all you guys that are doing it. Our numbers are starting to grow there. We've neglected it literally since our inception for the last 5 years. We've never really mentioned it. We always talk about YouTube. So we're trying to grow that. And again, I appreciate all you guys that are doing it. Grab your friends' phones, grab your kids' phones, subscribe to them on there. And I have people that they say, we've got a ton of ladies that watch the show. And I had a lady say that when she's at the bar and she's with her friends, she's like, I always grab their phones and I make sure that they click subscribe on your show. And I was like, seriously? And she's like, oh yeah, everywhere we go. And she's in Southern California. And she's like, yeah, you got all these Buckeye Scoop people subscribing out when she goes around town. And it's awesome. Really cool of her. So, but again, anything you guys can do to help, we appreciate you guys. Again, love you guys to death. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your Saturday. Again, happy birthday to Sean Schrock. I hope you're having a great night tonight. Enjoy yourself. And thank you for all that you do. And thank you to all of our guys, our moderators, Steely, the whole crew, Karis, Beth, Sean and Sean. Appreciate you guys. So Devin, Akeem, Kim, the whole crew. That being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. We will talk to you guys tomorrow night. We're gonna go at 7:10, right after the main the main afternoon game is over. We go right in that window between the second game and Sunday Night Football. So you'll see us about 7:10 tomorrow night. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Go Bucks.